Give me locations in the comments as y'all are coming in. We will get started in a moment. Locations in the comments as y'all coming in. We get started in a minute. Hope everyone's having a great Thursday. Start to your Thursday. Make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. We'll be good on. No, my mic is not in. There we go. That mic should be better now. If y'all are listening over on, you're listening over on this camera, this mic should be better now. We just changed the mic. Let me make sure the mic is good over here. It's not telling me which mic I'm in. As y'all are coming in, though, either way, shout yourselves out. Let me make sure make sure we got the right mic connected here, audio wise. Settings, stream, auto, in live video, embed live video, unpublish. Sound check 1 2 1 2. Yeah, it's just taking in the wrong mic. Let's check LinkedIn. I think if you're checking in on Rumble Studio, it should be taking in the right mic now that I changed it. But we are live on Rumble. Good morning, Rumble, live on YouTube. Good morning, live on. Let me verify that we are live on X. Yes, we are. Good morning. Let me check the sound. Good morning, Rumble, live on YouTube. Yeah, that sound is good. So we got the right mic on there. Facebook won't let me change the mic, so I think we got the wrong mic on Facebook. I know y'all can still hear me on Facebook, but it's not the mic that I wanted to be on. But I don't think I can change it. So Facebook, you have to deal with it for today. That's Facebook/Work on Your Game University. LinkedIn, Rumble, X, YouTube. The name is at Dre All Day. We are live on Instagram at Dre Baldwin. I know that y'all can hear me on Instagram and TikTok. I know y'all can hear me over there. Give me your locations in the comments. Give me your locations in the comments, folks. Shout a few people out. Today's topic is Kamala Harris on her book tour. I believe she's still on tour. Kamala Harris made a comment that we're going to address here today. We're going to see if people agree with this or they don't agree with it. Yeah, let me pull it up. Kamala Harris, I'm pulling up her, not the quote, but I'm pulling up her book tour because she is on tour right now. Let's see where this tour is at. So KamalaHarrisTour.com is where you see the tour date. So this tour started, actually, it didn't start yet. So this is not her official website, but this is the KamalaHarrisTour.com. Somebody else made this website, I guess. I thought her tour already began. Let me see if I can find her book tour page. That says that's not her official tour page. So where's her official tour page? HHS record, DPAC. Where's the tour? Anybody know the website for Kamala Harris's official book tour? I'm trying to find her official book tour website. I'm on a website, but this is not the official book tour site. Give me locations in the comments, folks. I'm trying to find Kamala's book tour page. Maybe it's at KamalaHarris.com. Let's see. Stay connected, get email updates, about, connect, office, etc. No, this is not it. There has to be a website that has her official book tour. Here it is. KamalaHarris.link/107 days. Maybe that's just for the book. Yeah, that's just for the book. All right, the book tour. Here it is. All right, so the book tour started in September 24th. So she's been on tour for about 3 weeks. That was in New York. Then she did Philly. Then she did LA. And a lot of these dates were sold out. Philly wasn't sold out, but all the rest of these sold out. LA. She did Houston on October 4th, 12 days ago. That was, according to her website, sold out. October 5th, sold out. This is according to the Simon Schuster website. That's the book publisher. Very next day, she did San Francisco, sold out. She did Atlanta, sold out. DC, sold out. Chicago, sold out. Durham, North Carolina was yesterday. She did Durham, North Carolina yesterday, and she sold that out. She's doing Birmingham, Alabama tomorrow. That is sold out. Then she's going overseas. She's going to London. Then she's coming back to LA. These are all sold out dates, by the way. She's going to be in Seattle. She's going to be in Portland. She'll be in Medford, Massachusetts, mid-November, also sold out. Toronto, all these dates are sold out. Toronto, Nashville, and Miami, Florida, November 20th at the Arts Center, not far from me in my neighborhood. And that is not yet sold out. So any of you wanting to see Kamala Harris on tour, the only option you have between now and forever is, at least according to her official dates, will be Thursday, November 20th in Miami, Florida, just in case any of you are still trying to get tickets to the Kamala Harris book tour. You have until Miami on November 20th is the only date on her tour that is not yet sold out. That is officially from the Simon & Schuster website. So as y'all are coming in, again, shout yourselves out in the comment section. Kamala Harris made a comment that we're going to address here today. Annie AFF from Kentucky, good morning. 140.6 Walnut Creek. Cure Fan SC, good morning. Cure Fan said, your live stream has become my morning routine. LOL. Well, I am glad to hear it. Shout out to everybody who has this live stream as your morning routine. Let's get the volume up here. I was going to play the clapping sound for you, but my soundboard didn't work. So the time is off. There it is. Shout out to everybody who has this as their morning routine. Quail Ridge from Lincoln, California. Good morning. Tina, good morning. Chesapeake, VA. Linda Gale, good morning from St. Louis. Nikki from Connecticut. Giga Dad, North Carolina. Leah, good morning. Ron Johnson, Ohio. Angela, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Courtney, good morning. Leah, thank you for the Go Popular early. Thank you, everybody, getting up over 10,000 likes early before we even get into the material. Brooke, I lost the name there. Where was I? Brooke Martella Romanico, good morning from California. Jeet, good morning. Laura Iggy Lover from Oklahoma. Your kid's stepdaddy, good day. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit in the house. Darren Beach, good morning. Joanne Greer, thank you for the rose. Jeet, good morning. Gotham said FDT. What's FDT? I don't know where that is. And the Ashanti Warrior, good morning. The Ashanti Warrior, is that Ashanti like the singer, or is that a different type of Ashanti? I don't know what Ashanti is. Only Ashanti I know is the singer that used to do songs with Ja Rule. So, Ann, is that the same Ashanti, or is that a different type of Ashanti Warrior? Glow, good morning. Joanne Greer from West Virginia. Darren Beach, good morning. West Palm, Florida. Shout out to West Palm. Beautiful place. Ford Baptist, Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Shout out to Haiti. Jules, good morning. Can't get enough of your content. Thank you. Well, Jules, me either. Can't get enough of my content either. John Paul, good morning. XTR said, Kamala is a joke. Well, she's serious enough that we got to discuss things that she says, because she might be your president in 2029 if she wins the 2028 election, which she could win. Don't get cocky, folks. Junior from Shreveport, Texas. Glow from New York. Shout out to New York. Black Sun, Long Island, New York. Shout out to Long Island. Jay Rocker, good morning from Delaware. Echo said, use voice command. What do you mean? XTR, Northern California. Shout out to Northern California. Echo said all blue areas. So people said Kamala went on tour in blue areas. Well, hey, she's trying to sell books. So let's not knock the hustle here, folks. Let's be clear, everybody. All right, I'm an author. I know the publishing industry. I know the publishing industry very well. If you want to go on tour for your book, you should probably go on tour to places where people are going to buy the book, because the reason you're going on tour is not just to hear yourself talk. I know Kamala's not going on tour to hear herself talk. She's done a lot of talking. Kamala goes on tour to sell books, and she's going on tour through her publisher. Her publisher wants to make their money back for the investment they made in that book. The advance that she got was probably a lot of money. She probably got $1 million advance for that book, or close to $1 million for that book. So Simon & Schuster, that's the publisher, they said, go on tour to places where your book's going to sell. Ain't nothing wrong with that, folks. So you can't knock her for going on tour to blue cities. She's going on tour to where the book is going to sell, which is business. We cannot knock Kamala for doing smart business. So, yes, there are blue areas, and Kamala sells books to blue areas. Nothing wrong with that. That's just the game. Leah, thank you for the gifts. Nicola77888, thanks for the follow. XTR said people pay to see her. Yes, they do. She was the vice president, so she'll always get paid to get seen. I mean, she may not get paid as often as others, but she is going to get paid to get seen. And Simon & Schuster probably gave her $1 million to write that book. So yes, people pay to see her, hear her, watch her, listen to her, etc. Michelle said all blue cities go to red, and she couldn't give a ticket away. Well, Michelle, you're probably right, but people in blue cities got green money. Michelle, let's remember we're talking business here. Her book tour is business; it's not politics. So all of you are making comments that are about politics, but a book tour is business. You do that to sell books, not to win votes. Now, when she needs to win votes, that's a different story, Michelle. Now, if she's trying to sell books, she should probably just go to where books are going to sell. T, thanks for the follow. Daryl J, thank you for the rose. Irma V, good morning. Leah said, everyone tap must get to 100K likes. Yes, follow what Leah said. 100K likes here, folks.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Let's see, where was I? Lost my spot in the comments. I'm just shouting out a couple people before we get started. Nana Cat said, it's been my morning routine for months. Amazing. Thank you, everybody who has been watching these lives as their morning routine. Marky Man, shout out to you from Sacramento, California. Shout out to Sacramento. J Rocker said, literally driving to work routine. You must have a long drive to work, J Rocker, because we do these lives for about 2 hours. But I'm glad you're watching. Daryl J, good morning. Audrey Langberg, Wisconsin is in the building. Anne Marie, thanks for the follow. Nana Girl, Lafayette, Louisiana, good morning. BMW Mom from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Terica Martin, Marin from Texas. Ashley Mack from Oxford, Mississippi. Is that where is that? Is that Ole Miss? Is that where Ole Miss is located? Oxford? Michelle says she will never make it through the primary. Oh, she got a chance simply because she was vice president. I don't think she's going to make it either, but she has a chance. I could be wrong. Sophia Antoine, thanks for the follow. Echo said, wasn't knocking, just putting out the obvious is all, sir. Fair enough. D. Winston, thanks for the follow. Karina said, what's the topic? The topic is Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris said something interesting. I'm going to tell you what she said in a moment. Alex, God is good, says she is not worthy, dude. Get over it, please. Well, she was vice president, Alex. I mean, what more do you want? She was vice president. And she was technically, she will go down in history as the 2024 Democratic nominee who faced off against Donald Trump. She lost, but she did make it all the way to the nominee. Now, how she made it is a whole other story. We all know about that. But to say that she doesn't have a chance in the future is incorrect. So Christian RG from Nebraska, Mental Libtard said, Flo Rider in the house. Shout out to Florida. Mary Ray's, thanks for the pumpkin. Conal said, she was the borders. I think you mean borders are. How did that work out? Yeah, well, it worked out exactly the way the Biden-Harris administration wanted it to work out. If you're seriously asking, they wanted it to go exactly how it went. Now, if the borders are, I think you mean a person who keeps people from crossing the border without documentation, then it went terrible. But that wasn't their plan. Their plan was to let people come across. And did they let people come across? Yes, they did, to the tunes of tens of millions of people. So Marcus said, Kamala Harris is cut fart smarter than any Republican. Okay, so we got some Democrats in the building.
Oh, I like your funny words, Magic Man.
All right, so let's get to it. So here's what Kamala Harris said, okay? Kamala Harris on her book tour. I guess she said this last night when she was in. Let me pull up Kamala Harris's book tour again. I lost the dates. Wait, is this the office of Kamala Harris? Where was it? All right, so I lost the location where I had her book tour. Okay, so here it is. So Kamala Harris's book tour. I lost it again. Let me do it again. I'm on X and I just pulled up a picture. I literally wasn't even looking for this. I opened X and the first thing I see is a picture of Halle Berry. Halle Berry said, this is 59. She has posted a picture of herself. I guess this is a 59-year-old thirst trap by Halle Berry. So shout out to Halle Berry posting thirst traps, and she's almost 60 years old. I don't know why she's doing that, but this is what she has chosen to do. Anyway, shout out to Halle Berry for that. Let's get what I was looking for was Kamala Harris's book tour. So last night, October 15th, she was in Durham, North Carolina at the Durham Performing Arts Center with Quail Ridge Books. So if any of you know anything about that, that was the tour event she was at. And if you click on the tickets button, it won't even open because the tickets are sold out. The only place you can buy a ticket, since somebody asked about buying tickets, let's find out how much these tickets actually are. All right. Anybody interested to know? All right. How many of you want to guess how much the tickets are? Guess how much are the tickets for a Kamala Harris event? If you want to go to Kamala Harris's book tour, how much is the ticket? So there's only one date that is still available to buy tickets. That is in Miami, Florida on November the 20th. It is called A Conversation with Kamala Harris. And you can see it right here. This is on so they have the direct website to each venue that is hosting the event. So this is the Adrian Arst Center, which is in downtown Miami. Beautiful venue. People have things like this. Sometimes speakers, when they had the debates last summer, there was presidential debates happened at this same venue. The same venue, there's a couple of buildings there. The same venue, they had presidential debates there last summer. And what else happens there? Like you can go see plays. Those of you in the theater and Broadway stuff, they have those there. Beautiful venue. So I'm giving you all that and telling you it was in downtown Miami, maybe to help you temper your expectations of how much these tickets might be. And this is, again, November 20th, select option. So, no. All right. So the tickets are, I'm meant to be finding out how much the tickets are. So now I can see how much y'all think the tickets are. All right. How much do y'all think the tickets are? My question was, how much are the tickets to go to the Kamala Harris event? Y'all want to see Kamala Harris in Miami November 20th. So I see $250, $150, $250, $265, $500, $200, $10, $1,500, $10, $5, $1, $1.50, negative $500. So they'll pay you 99 cents, 50 cents, $200, $250, $1,200. It's like the price is right. All right. So the price range for these tickets, drum roll, please. Price range for the tickets to the Kamala Harris event in Miami on November 20th run from, this is the range, $72 to $472. And it's a 60-minute event. $72 to $472 to get tickets. Now let's see if we can actually get to where you actually buy the tickets. So let's find out. This is a very wide range. So how do I know what I'm paying for here? All right, so let's click on the Arch Center. This is what the Arch Center looks like. That's the inside. I don't think y'all can really see that. It's kind of washed out. You see that? That's the venue. So this is like a theater type of venue. So it's a place you go see theater, place you go see plays, et cetera, et cetera. Kamala's up on the stage right there. And we're trying to see how many tickets are left. Okay, so look at this. I'll tell you, y'all want to hear something crazy. So y'all can't really see this, but all the gray are unavailable seats and the black are the available seats. There's literally one seat left to buy. So any of you knocking Kamala Harris, all right, this is in your face. In your face. There's only one ticket left in the entire venue to go see Kamala Harris, and it's all the way in the back. Somebody bought these tickets. Y'all tell me who bought these tickets. The Democratic Party didn't buy them. She bashed Joe Biden in her book. So they didn't buy them. The Republicans didn't buy them. Kamala Harris has fans, folks. This may be bad news to some of you. Look, she only got one ticket left. See that little black dot right there all the way up in the back? That's the only ticket you can buy. All those tickets are bought. According to this website, there are no tickets remaining if you want to see Kamala Harris. So if you want to bring your spouse, you can't bring your spouse because there's only one ticket. Only one of you can go. One of you got to stay home. This ticket right here, this ticket all the way in the back. I'm looking at their website right now. This is the Arch Center. This is the place where the event is happening. This ticket cost $152.10. Then the fees, and I hate that they add the fees. This whole adding fees to the price, the listed price, and then they add fees. This is a complete scam that Bernie Sanders, AOC, they can do something about this. Zohran Mamdani, they can do something about this. These fees. The fees are $25.86. What fee is $25.86? That's a fucking scam. Anyway, the ticket costs $177.96. So if you want to sit all the way in the back, okay, I'm showing y'all the picture again. Here's the venue. See that little one dot? The one dot with some color? You want to sit all the way in the back to hear Kamala Harris on November 20th. There's the only seat left. Everything else is sold. It will cost you $177.96. So all of y'all bashing Kamala and making jokes about Kamala, in your face. In your face. She has sold all these tickets, and the only ticket left is going to cost you damn near $200, and you got to sit in the back. You probably can't even see her from all the way back there where you're going to be sitting. All right, you're going to be watching on a monitor because that's how far back you're going to be. And you still got to pay $177. So whatever Kamala is doing, and many of us probably use this, $177 for a ticket all the way in the back. Well, I'll tell you what she did. She became vice president, and she said she was black, and she backdoored her way into the the Democratic nomination. So if any of you do that, you can sell tickets for $177.96 to read your book after you lose the election. So any of you want to do what Kamala did, do the same thing she did. Become vice president, then make sure that your president becomes mentally adult to where they can't run anymore, and then you back into the nomination, then you lose the election, then you write a book, and then you can do the same thing that Kamala Harris did. If she can do it, you can do it. So $177.96 to go hear Kamala Harris speak. Now, I was supposed to be telling you what she said, but we didn't get to that yet. So Kamala Harris, I'm assuming she said this in Durham, North Carolina last night. That's where her last event was. Also sold out, by the way. She sold out every venue of her tour so far. She said that some people, this is her language, some people called her the most qualified presidential candidate in history. This is what Kamala Harris said. And this is actually what we're going to discuss here today. Some people said she was the most qualified candidate in history. Let's see if we can find a video of Kamala actually saying this. Y'all want to hear this? Libs of TikTok posted this. It got 1.6 million views and 5,000 comments. Yeah, interested. Y'all want to know what those comments were? We're not reading the comments, but let's see.
That is a decent resume, but go ahead. Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
There it is. You heard that?
I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead. I'm just speaking fact. Yeah.
There you go, fact. Y'all like facts?
There's a podcast.
Y'all like facts?
That is a decent resume, but go ahead. Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president. I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead. I'm just speaking fact. Yeah.
Fact. Kamala, some people said, the most qualified. How many of you believe, give me a yes or a no, how many of you agree that Kamala was the most qualified candidate to ever run for president? If you just given in your lifetime, let's just say for as long as you've been alive. So if you're 60 years old, 40 years old, 25 years old, how many of you, yes or no, believe Kamala was the most qualified candidate to ever run for president? And y'all just heard it. She said it. The most qualified candidate. I haven't got a yes yet. Anybody answer the question? Nobody? Nobody thinks that Kamala was the most qualified candidate to run for president? She said that some people said it. So I think J-Rock is the only one holding the line here for Kamala. She's the most qualified candidate to ever run for president. So some say that this is self-reflective. I mean, y'all saw it yourselves. Y'all saw the clip yourself of her saying it. Now, this is framing her 2024 run against criticism. So even though she lost, she said, I was still qualified because clearly Kamala is still in her mind, because the fact that she said that had to be in her head before she said it. She is mentally fighting against the demons of people saying that she was not qualified and she shouldn't have been the nominee in the first place. Now, here's the thing that I say about qualification. First of all, as soon as you do something, you're qualified to do it. That's where I stand on it. So I'm going to defend Kamala Harris on some levels here today. I'm going to bash her too, but I'm also going to defend her. All right. First of all, as soon as you do something, you're qualified to do it. That's it. That's your qualification. Your qualification to do something is the fact that you're doing it. If you're not doing it, you're not qualified. And if you are doing it, you are qualified. The fact that she became the nominee qualifies her. Regardless of how she became the nominee, the fact that she was the nominee, she's qualified, because that can always go on her resume that says Kamala Harris was the nominee and she went against Donald Trump in 2024. So in the year 3024, when all of us are long gone, somebody's going to look in the history books and say, who ran for president in 2024 is going to say Donald Trump against Kamala Harris. Is anybody going to care about the story of how she became the nominee 1,000 years from now? The answer is no, they're not. We know how she became the nominee. We can bash it because it just happened and we know about it. But when we're gone and our kids are gone and your kids' are gone, 1,000 years from now, nobody's going to care about that detail. All that's going to matter is the bottom line, which is the Democrat was Kamala, the Republican was Trump. That's a reality. You want to talk about a fact? There's a fact for you right there. That is true. Now, at the same time, I think Kamala is still fighting against this idea in her head of not being qualified, because she knows what all of us know, which is she didn't go through a primary. She didn't go through the gauntlet. She didn't have to beat anybody in order to become the nominee. Even if they would have had a quick primary, after Joe Biden's flop in that one debate that he had that signaled the end of his career, I don't think she would have won. I think Michelle Obama would have beat her. Whitmer would have beat her. Shapiro would have beat her. Newsom would have beat her. Buttigieg would have beat her. And who else was there? Anybody else who had anything? Those 5 people all would have beat her had any of them wanted to take the nomination in 2024. I'm not sure anybody wanted to take it, because I think the Democrats could read the writing on the wall after that Joe Biden flop of a debate that Donald Trump was going to win. and they might as well let's just wait till 2028. I think a bunch of them said, I'm just waiting until 2028. I don't even want the nomination. The only person maybe who might have took it and said, let me just do it now, might have been Michelle Obama. This is before she started her podcast. She would have beat Kamala Harris. Now that Michelle Obama has a podcast, she ain't beating nobody. But before that, she would have beat Kamala Harris. So anyway, many people mocked this remark. As I just showed you, Libs of TikTok had a lot of fun with this one. They called it delusional in light of her early dropout and low polling, her early dropout from 2019, her low polling all the time that she's been around. Even when she was VP, her polling was low. Now, some praise her confidence and her need to assert her value. I think that's a very feminine angle nonsense. Now, the split reaction highlights how candidate self-promotion gets scrutinized harder. Some say she is only getting scrutinized harder because she's black. Some say she is getting scrutinized because she's a woman. I reject this, but people are going to say it. And there are a lot of people who believe it, whether you accept it or not. And if a man makes a similar claim, nobody would even flinch. Nobody would even think about it. The fact that I'm talking about it may be even proof of this, no sexism. So Harris's defender says she is reclaiming narrative control. She's trying to reclaim narrative control by writing that book. Now, whatever you think about the book, people are bashing the book and bashing her continuously when she's out there. However, the fact that she wrote the book, she is trying to claim some of the narrative and trying to tell people what the story actually was. And some say she is stepping too far away from performance and too far toward perception. But let's see what the comments were on this post that Libs of TikTok posted about. Libs of TikTok, by the way, just posts stuff that makes the political left look crazy. So let's see. No, these comments are just too crazy. I'm not even getting into that. Let me introduce myself and we'll get into this topic. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. Former 9-year pro athlete, author of a few books, done a few TED Talks. Run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Our job here is to help you master that 85% of communication that is nonverbal through your discipline, confidence, and structure. That 85%, all that is known as presence. When your presence is strong, most of the work is done before you say a word and before you lift a finger. So any of you want to make your work easier, you want to win friends and influence people, you want people to want to cooperate with you, communicate with you, be friends with you, and remember you even after you walk out of the room, even if you never engage with them. Presence is what you need to work on. We help people with that. We got a whole program coming on it called the Power Presence Protocol. I'll be telling y'all more about that very soon. Just make sure you text me the word power to the number you see in my bio or in the pinned comment. The number is 305-384-6894. There you will also be in my text group, which means you get my daily motivation text every day, weekly motivation text every Monday. The number again, 305-384-6894. Now, as I said, I'm going to defend Kamala on some levels here today, and I'm going to ridicule and bash Kamala on other levels here today. Now, she wrote the book, which she should have done. This is a smart move by Kamala Harris to write this book. Why? Because first of all, she got anywhere between $750,000 to $1 million for this book. For those who know how the publishing industry works, if you're well known like Kamala Harris, you get a big advance. It's an advance from the publisher. It's probably a non-recoupable advance, which means she does not have to pay the money back if her book doesn't outsell the advance. They give her, let's say, $1 million up front. Michelle Obama when she wrote her book, she probably got $750,000. They give you $1 million up front. It's just an advance, which means we're paying you up front for money that you have not yet earned. And then every time she earns money, now that just gets subtracted from the advance that she owes the publisher. So publisher gives Kamala $1 million. She goes sells $100,000 worth of books. Now Kamala owes, quote unquote, the publisher $900,000. She sells another 100,000 books. Now she owes the publisher $800,000 because now she's just selling down against her advance. And the thing is, if she doesn't sell enough to max out or meet the amount that she was already paid, if it's non-recoupable, she doesn't have to write them a check to pay back what she owes. They basically just take a loss on the book. That's the way the publishing industry works. And Kamala Harris damn sure does not have a recoupable advance. In other words, she does not have to pay back that money. I've done publishing deals where I got non-recoupable advances. So if I can get it and I'm not nearly as famous as Kamala, she damn sure got it. So they pay her all that money to write the book. She writes the book. Of course, she writes the book. Then she goes on tour to promote the book. And if you're as famous as Kamala, you can go on tour and promote the book. I would bet everybody who buys a ticket to that event probably gets a copy of the book. That's probably baked into the cost of the ticket. So any of you wondering why Kamala's the tickets for her events cost so much, Well, part of the cost is probably $39 for that book, or however much they're charging for the hardcover version of the book. Let's see how much the hardcover version of Kamala's book is. Any of you got Kamala's book? I don't have it yet. I'm going to read it. The hardcover book right now is on sale at Amazon for $20.98. The regular price for this book is $30. So $30 for the book. I guarantee you, anyone who goes to one of Kamala's events, they get a copy of the book. So if it's 500 people at the venue and she sells it out, that's 500 book sales. Everybody understand? That's the way it works. So when they sell tickets to the event, the ticket comes with the book, and that adds into her book sales. Is the reason why she's number one on the bestseller list. This is how the publishing industry works. And the publishing industry is smart because they can make some money off this Kamala book. So if they end up making $5 million selling Kamala's book, they pay her in advance of $1 million. That's a $4 million profit. Now, that's not counting the royalties they pay back on the books. But if any of you know anything about the book publishing world, the amount of money Kamala makes for every sale of that book is relatively small. It's a small amount. That book sells for $30. She might get $1.50. That actually goes to her. A lot of it goes to Amazon. It goes to the booksellers. It goes to the retailers. It goes to the packagers. It goes to the publisher. The author doesn't get that much money publishing a book. So any of you heard of self-publishing, there's a reason that a lot of authors go that route, because you actually get to keep more money. A significant amount of money. Now, Kamala Harris, she went the traditional route because, well, they gave her $1 million. If they give me $1 million, I will go the traditional route too. So I'm not knocking that. So there's another defense of Kamala. So any of you who's going to come in here saying I'm bashing Kamala Harris, please make sure you're recording and screen recording and screenshotting this. I'm giving Kamala credit here and helping y'all understand stuff. And I am not knocking the idea of this tour. This is a business move. Let's remember that Kamala Harris is still a citizen in America. Right now, last I checked, she is a jobless citizen. She doesn't run a business, so she doesn't have a job. She's unemployed. And listen, she got bills too. All right. Does Kamala Harris have bills? Y'all agree Kamala Harris has bills? She got to pay for food, clothing, shelter. Okay. So again, they offer $1 million, go on tour, sell some books, make some money. Why wouldn't you do it? All of you would do it. Again, all of you would do the same thing. So she's doing this right now, making herself some money, getting her name out there in the game, paying her bills, making sure she can go to Whole Foods every now and then and go to Starbucks and get her a coffee. And I believe she is getting herself out there again, because she was pretty quiet for like the last year. The election was almost a year ago. She's been pretty quiet. We haven't heard much from Kamala except when she put this book out. Now the book's out. She's getting her name out there again. And I believe she and her team are kind of testing the waters to see how she is meaning amongst the voting population, because the voting population is going to determine how she positions herself next year, 2026, where I think she's going to speak up a little bit to try to help the Democrats win the midterms. They're going to need her voice, even though many of you may think her voice means nothing. She was the VP. All right, so it does matter. And she was in the Senate, so it's not like she's a nobody. They're going to need her voice in 2026 to try to win some midterms. Then in 2027, that's her getting ready for presidency. I think she's running again. How many of you think Kamala is running for president in 2028? Give me a yes or no. Do you think Kamala is running again for 2028? Given what we know right now, is she running again in 2028? Give me a yes or a no. Is Kamala going to run? So I'm getting about half and half. I'm getting some yeses and some nos. Those of you saying no, what do you think she's going to do? What's she going to do with the rest of her life? She's 60 years old, which is it's kind of old, but it ain't that old. I mean, it's not like retirement. We just came to know who she was in 2020. So it's not like she only been really, really known for about 5 years. She was in the Senate for that. So let's say 15 years she's been known. So she only got known when she was about 45. So would you walk away? What's she going to do? If she's not going to run for president, what is she going to do? Jennifer says she does. She won't win. I don't think she's going to win either, but she can run. She can run. It gives you something to do. It gives her a reason to wake up in the morning knowing that she's running for president. Now, if she has no reason to wake up in the morning, you know what happens to people when they retire? They die because they have nothing to do. So I think she needs something to do. If she doesn't run for president, what is she going to do? That's my question. What is she going to do? I think she's running for president. She ain't got nothing else to do. Why would you go? Is she going to go backwards? Most of the time, they don't go backwards. Where's Mike Pence at right now? What's Mike Pence doing? He was vice president. What was he doing before that? I never heard of Mike Pence before all of this. Mike Pence. Anybody know what Mike Pence is doing now? I haven't heard anything from Mike Pence ever since 2020. So where is Mike Pence now? I'm looking on DuckDuckGo search assist, asking where Mike Pence. So right now, Mike Pence is the same Mike Pence. Yeah, so they say Mike Pence right now is a distinguished professor of practice at George Mason University's Scar School of Policy and Government, where he will teach courses starting in the spring of 2026. So Mike Pence is about to be a teacher. He's about to be a college professor. Did y'all know that? I didn't know that. Y'all know Mike Pence is about to be a college professor? And he's continuing his role at Grove City College. I know Grove City College as a distinguished visiting fellow for the Center of Faith and Public Life. That's what Mike Pence is doing. He became a college professor after he was the vice president for 4 years. Before that, he was the governor of Indiana and a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Man, Mike Pence is pretty quiet. So do you think Kamala Harris could go become a college professor? Mike Pence became a college professor. Who else was the VP? Before that, you had Joe Biden. Well, we saw what Joe Biden did. He's retired now. And before that, you had Dick Cheney. So where's Dick Cheney? What's Dick Cheney doing now? Anybody know? I know his daughter's out there, but what's Dick Cheney doing? Is he still alive? What's Dick Cheney up to? We know what Mike Pence is up to. Let's see what Dick Cheney's up to. Dick Cheney is retired from politics. He lives in Wyoming. He's an active public speaker and an author. Okay, so Dick Cheney just fell back. Oh, he had a heart transplant in 2012. Okay, so Dick Cheney's just chilling. All right, so Kamala Harris needs something to do. She's 60 years old. And so many of you saying she's not going to run, you got to tell me what she is going to do. She ain't going to do that. Maybe she'll be on, she could do something like be on The View or something like that. The thing is, I don't really think she could be on The View. She's not that good of a speaker. That's the reason why she can't win she's not going to win the nominations. She's not a good speaker. But anyway, let me continue. Is an attempt to frame legacy. Now, she wants to position herself above these policy punches and focus on her competence. The problem is policy punches hurt her because her policies were pretty empty last year. She kept throwing out more and more things that the government was going to give to American citizens if she won. The problem is people could see through the bullshit and it didn't work. And on top of that, people didn't think she was competent because that was the whole qualification question. Now she's pushing back saying some people say I was the most qualified ever. All that's going to do is rile people up to say, well, no, you weren't, because they're going to start listing the reason why she wasn't qualified. This is the issue that Kamala Harris has. Those of you who are Kamala supporters, y'all can pass this message over to her, is that she doesn't know how to play the game very well. She doesn't play the public speaking game well. And it is a game. It's a game of narrative. It is a game of grabbing headlines. It's a game of framing. You got to be good at framing the conversation the way that you want the conversation framed. Donald Trump is a master at framing conversations. It's the reason why everybody's always talking about him, even when he's not doing anything. Remember like 3 weeks ago when Donald Trump was quiet for like 4 days and then everybody was talking about it? Like, what happened to him? Is he in the hospital? Is he dead? Is he still alive? That's because he masters the frame so well that his absence is presence. Even in his absence, his presence is felt. Kamala Harris was quiet for like 10 months and nobody cared. It was only when she popped up talking about I got a book that everybody started talking about her again. But when she was gone, nobody cared that she was gone. Her name was completely erased from the headlines. And I think her team told her, like, hey, they kind of forgot that you existed. You might want to start talking again. And here she is talking again. The problem is with her talking is that she makes things worse. Gavin Newsom, for example, when it comes to politicians, Gavin Newsom is pretty good at framing in that he can at least get his base, his supporters, to agree with him. Now, I don't agree with him. I can see right through what he's doing. He's a very polished and plastic politician. And I don't say that as kind of a compliment, but it's kind of not. He's very good at being a politician, and he's pretty good at having the frame be what he wants the frame to be. Again, I think a lot of his frames are nonsense, but he makes a solid attempt. Kamala Harris can't even do what Gavin Newsom does, which is why she can't win the Democratic nomination if he runs, because he can't beat her. I'm not sure Kamala could even beat AOC. The thing is, AOC is just not, her platform is not big enough to compete with Kamala, at least as of today. So we'll see what happens with that. So what you claim to be could become what you're judged by. That's something that I tell people building their brands all the time, that your brand starts with what you say about yourself. Other people hear what you say, then eventually they repeat what you said, and that becomes your brand, and then it's on Google and everybody says it about you. In some ways that is true, but you have to say it with some authority. You got to say it like you mean it. You have to be able to back it up if it's challenged. This is the issue with Kamala Harris. She's not saying it with authority. You heard the clip. She's not really saying it if she means it. And she can't back that up if it was challenged. That person she was on the stage with, the host of the event, the moderator, I doubt the moderator really challenged what she said. The moderator kind of threw a little jab at her. Like, I like the little part where you said some say. She was kind of like not believing Kamala. Her tone says she didn't believe her. And Kamala didn't really stand on top of that. Now, imagine she did that to Donald Trump. Donald Trump would have jumped all down that woman's throat and made sure she accepted Donald Trump's frame. He has a different energy. Kamala Harris doesn't quite have that energy. And also, if you listen to Kamala talk here, let me see if I can pull this clip up again. Because this clip is very telling if you know what to listen for. The way she said this, first of all, you know that this is not a scripted talking
That is a
point.
decent resume, but go ahead. Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president. I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead. I'm just speaking fact. Yeah. That is
The thing is, this is Kamala speaking off the cuff. And she's, if you can see the clip, y'all can't really see it. Y'all can look this up online, you'll see the clip. She's speaking off the cuff. And these days, this didn't used to be the case. 25 years ago, this was not necessary. 20 years ago. All the way up to about in the middle of Barack Obama's between his 2 terms. Up to about that point, you didn't have to be good at speaking off the cuff to be president. You could memorize your talking points. And whenever you got accosted by the press, if you wanted to answer their questions, then you could basically have your talking points nailed down. Kamala Harris needs to be able to speak off the cuff. If you're going to be in politics today, especially at the presidential level, you got to be able to speak off the cuff. Why? Because now you have podcasts. Everybody has a phone. Everybody can be a damn YouTuber or streamer or TikToker or whatever people are calling themselves these days. And the media demands that you respond to what's happening in the media. You got to be able to engage and you got to control the frame because there's so many people talking about you that if you don't take control of the frame, then they will control the frame on you because both sides have people attacking them. So if you're a Democrat, you got a bunch of people who are in the independent media bashing you. You got to control that frame as best you can. And if you're a Republican, you got a bunch of people in the mainstream media attacking you and bashing you. So you got to control that frame as best you can. You can't do nothing. Kamala Harris has to say something. The problem is she's not good at speaking. But if you look at all the presidents that we've had, they've all been pretty good speakers. Trump is pretty good at controlling the frame and speaking off the cuff. I'm talking off the cuff speaking. Even Joe Biden, when he was cogent, he was good. He lost his cogency pretty early into his presidency. But when he was cogent, Joe Biden was good. Then before that, you had Trump. Before that, you had Obama, who's a master. Before that, you had George W. Bush, who was pretty good, but he didn't even need it that much. You started needing it around the time of Obama. And the only presidents we've had since then was Obama, Trump, and Biden. Anybody who comes after this got to be good at it. And you look at the people who are coming up, the people who may end up coming up. Gavin Newsom is very good at it. He's very good at going off the cuff. He had that podcast for a reason. And he does podcast. He goes on other people's podcasts for a reason. The reason he does that so he can get even better at speaking off the cuff. He needs the practice and he needs to learn how to stop being so dressed up politician. I don't think he can turn it off though. How old is Gavin Newsom? Now I'm thinking about this. Anybody know? Gavin Newsom age. I'm guessing he's he's 58. So he's close to Kamala Harris. He's not changing his stripes at 58 years old. So Gavin Newsom is a little bit too polished. That's going to work against him, depending on who he runs against. AOC is not that good at speaking off the cuff. She's better than Kamala, but she's also not good. So better than Kamala does not mean you're good. Kamala's all the way down here. You being better than her, you're the tallest midget. She's not there yet. She's going to have to get a lot better. And she's going to have to keep learning at the feet of her uncle, Bernie Sanders, so that she can get better at speaking off the cuff if she's going to run for 2028, because she needs a lot of polishing between now and then. And Kamala Harris is just not good. And I don't see her getting better. That's the issue that she has, that speaking off the cuff thing. She was speaking off the cuff in that little clip. And that's why she said what she said. It's like one of her dodge points is that when she gets caught up and she doesn't quite know what to say, she has a few things that she goes to. She has these go-to phrases that she goes to when she doesn't know what to say. And when people start noticing you have go-to phrases when you don't know what to say, then you have a public speaking issue. You have a public speaking problem. That's a communication problem for Kamala. And again, she got to fix this, and she got 3 years to fix this. I'm not sure this is fixable. All right, she was just the presidential nominee, and she couldn't fix it. So how she's going to fix it? And she had a whole year of being quiet to fix it. She still hasn't fixed it. So Kamala supporters, tell me what I got wrong here. Now, she invites ridicule in the polarized media. We already talked about this. So these kind of statements can become memes rather than serious. And critics are going to amplify every overreach. That's the issue these days. This is the reason why you got to be good at speaking off the cuff, because you got critics coming from everywhere. And some of them have a big enough voice that they can start to sway opinion against you. So she has to somehow, some way learn how to fight against this and or control the frame. And again, she has failed to do either one effectively. Now, some are saying that this is a gender or racial double standard because she's a person of color. Now, whether she's actually black or not, we discussed this in detail about a year ago. Candace Owens dove into this as well for about 2 weeks. Let's just say person of color, and she's a female. Those are two things we can agree. So when men make grand claims of competence, it usually doesn't get questioned. But when Kamala comes out, is getting questioned. It's not so much that because she's a woman or a person of color, it's because of who she is. So Kamala or any of her supporters saying you're only saying it because she's a female, because she's black. Not really, because there are other females who could say it and nobody would question it. Depending on what they said and how they said it. What you say, yes, but it's also how you say it. And how you say things, this is one of the issues that Kamala has. And when I talk about presence, what I told you all about, what we do over here at my company, it's how you say things that people are reading into more than what you actually said. All right, Donald Trump says things all the time that may not even be the answer to the question. Some people may say it doesn't quite make any sense. Some people say, well, he's lying. Some people say he's kind of walking around the question. He's not really telling the truth. But it's how he says it that you believe that he believes it. He says it, he speaks in an authoritative way. And if you're going to be president, the leader of the free world, you better be very authoritative. Kamala doesn't talk like that. She only talks like that when she has a memorized talking point. And again, 25 years ago, she would have been fine being just like that. And she could have done whatever she wanted to do politically. Can't do it in 2025. This is a problem that must be fixed. And I've said this 100 times. I don't know if this is fixable. So she's getting instant skepticism. And if some people, her supporters, maybe even her, she'll pull this out at some point if she keeps talking. She's going to hide behind her race and behind her gender as a shield for the criticism rather than actually addressing it. She's going to hide behind her race and her gender. Here's the problem. Barack Obama is the only president we've had who was person of color or was a minority. Like, the only president we had who wasn't a white man was Barack Obama. How many times you hear Barack Obama use his race as an excuse for criticism? Answer is not much. He never did it. If Barack Obama talked about his race at all, he talked about it in I guess you could call it a unifying way by saying, I'm paraphrasing him. I don't know if he ever said anything like this, but yes, I'm a person of color. However, that doesn't mean that we can't come together and support the person who has the best policies or the best ideas or who is the best leader for the country. That's why you should vote for me. But he never used it as an excuse. And the point is, Kamala needs to learn from that. You can't become a leader using your immutable characteristics as an excuse because it reads as weakness. And again, Kamala should hire me for a consultation. She can take a little bit of that money she got from Simon & Schuster and that she's getting from these book tour sales. Well, those book tour sales money is actually going to Simon & Schuster. But the advance she got from Simon & Schuster, she said, break me off and give me about 50 grand. I will help her out. I might charge her 100 grand. But give me about 50 grand. I'll sit down with Kamala for an hour and help her with these. I'll tell her what she needs to fix. And then we'll meet again in about 2 months and let's see how she fixed it. But you cannot use your immutable characteristic as an excuse when you're running for president. You can use it in many other spaces, not as president, because that reads as weakness. And when you read through to other people unconsciously as weak, they can't follow you as a leader. They won't choose you as a leader. And these are all things that Kamala's camp did not understand in 2024. I don't know if she even has a camp right now in 2025, but if she does, they don't understand this. And Kamala herself doesn't understand this. The issue with all of this is that, yes, it is teachable. The problem is if you're running for president, you're already 60 years of age. I'm not sure how many new tricks you can teach an old dog, if you follow what I'm saying, the metaphor. I'm not calling Kamala a dog. Y'all get what I'm saying here. So you got to kind of understand this in your bones. Barack Obama understood this in his bones. This was just him as a person. This is who he was. He understood that he couldn't show weakness by using his race as an excuse. Like, how are you going to win using your race as an excuse? There ain't enough black people for you to win with just them. Donald Trump understood this. He takes things where he feels like he's being targeted and he turns it into an offensive weapon. He did it all of 2024. Kamala Harris doesn't do this. She frames it as, well, they're attacking me, but she doesn't attack back. You can't do that and be president. Now, substance mattered more than the slogans. We all know this about Kamala Harris. She did not have much by way of substance. And this has been the issue with a lot of some of you asking about female politicians. AOC does not have much by way of substance. She is good at talking points. She does not have substance. She's not really standing on anything serious. She can make her talking points and she can get on social media and get a viral moment. Same thing with Jasmine Crockett. She can make talking points and get on the internet or TV and get a viral moment. They're good at doing that, but do you have real substance? So when we get past the jokes and we get past the funny shit, can you actually say something of substance without trying to be funny, without ridiculing your opponent, and actually say something useful that we need to hear? I don't hear that much from AOC. We never hear it from Jasmine Crockett. Kamala Harris had it when she could memorize it, but she can't say it off the cuff. She can't do it off the top of her head. That's the problem. Even New Yorkers, your new mayor, Zoran Mamdani, probably, he has substance. I don't agree with his substance, but he has substance. So when I say somebody has substance, doesn't mean I agree with what they're saying. When I say someone has substance, it means they have a form to them. And if you ask them what they're about, they can answer the question. What is AOC about? We don't know. What is Jasmine Crockett about? We don't know. What is Kamala Harris about? We don't know. All right. So this is not a bashing of females. They just happen to fit the description. There are men out there who fit the description too. Many of them don't make it as far as these women have made it in politics. They can make it because they stand out because they're females. A man with that same level of lack of substance would not make it as far as these women have made it in terms of popularity. Because men are held to a different standard. This is a reality. And another man would just call them out on their nonsense. Zoran Mamdani has substance. I don't agree with the substance, but there is substance there. Bernie Sanders has substance. I don't agree with a lot of things Bernie says. He actually sounded pretty good on the Joe Rogan podcast a couple months ago. But he has substance. If you ask Bernie Sanders what is he about, he can answer the question without having to think about it. Ask Kamala Harris what she's about, she won't be able to answer the question. That's substance. And she doesn't have it. So her credibility has already been eroded, even though she was just the nominee for president. And voters are expecting, again, you got to bring something useful at some point. Kamala only had 107 days. And some people have asked me, do I think she would have had a better chance had she had more time? I say no, she would have a better chance had she had less time. Instead of that book being 107 days, if it was like 37 days, I think she might have had a chance to beat Trump in 2024. Why? Because Kamala Harris, her issue is that when you're a person who doesn't have substance, the more you talk, the more obvious it becomes. So actually, Kamala is useful in small doses. The larger the dose, the more obvious it becomes she has nothing. There's nothing in there. That is just an empty vessel. So this is the reason why she can't win the Democratic nomination through a full primary, because she's going to have to do a whole lot of talking for an extended period of time. That's kryptonite for Kamala Harris. AOC, same thing. Gavin Newsom, he's good at it. He knows how to do it. Now, he's going to be saying a whole bunch of empty words, but he makes them sound good. Same thing Barack Obama did. A bunch of empty words that sound good. Now, Gavin Newsom's problem is that he's an old white man. Barack Obama was a young black guy. So it was interesting hearing Barack Obama say the stuff that he was saying. People weren't paying so much attention to the words as they were the person giving the words at the time that he came out. Gavin Newsom, he won't have that luxury because he's an old white guy. And people are going to shoot through his bullshit much more easily than they did Barack Obama's. People didn't catch on to Barack Obama's bullshit till it was too late. He already won 2 elections. Kamala Harris, again, she won't be as lucky because she's not new. We already had Barack Obama, so you're not a novelty anymore. Everybody follow this? This is the issue Kamala has. So voters expect some proof, not just branding, not just hype, not just the Democrats paid influencers hyping up everything that Kamala does like they did last summer. Again, 37 days, she might have won had she had 37 days. But she had 107 days, and after about 4 weeks, people are like, okay, what does this woman actually have to say? What is this woman actually going to do? Now, if I'm going to vote for her, what is she actually going to do? What's she actually going to say? She couldn't answer the question. And what happened is a bunch of Democrat voters decided to not vote because they didn't like Kamala. That's one thing that happened. Another thing that happened is a bunch of traditionally Democratic voting men who were trained to vote Democratic, many of them black men, decided to either not vote at all or they voted for Trump. And that's pretty much where she was. That was it. The Republicans voted Republican, Democrats voted Democrat. The fence sitters either didn't vote at all or they voted for Trump. Why? Because Kamala showed that she had no substance. After about 30 days, that last what is that, 77 days? That's what killed Kamala. She should have wrote a book called 77 Days because that's really why she lost. It wasn't the 30. 30 days, she was good. After 30 days, I said, damn, she might win. But after 30 days, that's when it got ugly for Kamala Harris. The more she talked, the more obvious it became. Now, by owning this qualified frame, by calling herself qualified, I don't know why she wants to call herself owning this. She should stop talking about it. She forces the critics to debate the merits of her rather than simply dismiss her. I completely dismiss this point. By the time you already have been a senator, she was what? What was she? Attorney General of California? Is that the role that she had? Somebody confirm that or whatever she was. What was she in California? Was she the Attorney General of California? And I know she was a senator. And then she became VP under Biden. And then she became the nominee. All right, so at this point, Kamala needs to stop talking about qualification. She needs to stop mentioning the word because you're still litigating something that's already been solved. It's already accepted that you're qualified. You were Attorney General of one of the largest states in the country. You were a senator, which is not an easy race to win. There's only 100 senators. You won. You became the vice president. You were selected as vice president, but you were the vice president, which is the second biggest job in the country behind the president, maybe second biggest job in the world behind the president. And regardless of how it happened, you became the nominee of the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris needs to, what she should do, again, if she hired me to consult her, I would teach her how to do this, is she needs to absorb into her being that these things are reality and not keep saying that they're quote unquote facts. You don't have to keep saying something as a fact if it's an actual fact. You understand this? If something's really a fact, you don't have to keep saying it. You just live it, you embody it, and if somebody tries to challenge it, you only have to respond to it. You can just ignore it. There's nothing that needs to be said. When someone says Donald Trump has 34 felonies, does he go argue against him? No, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to say shit. Okay, yeah, 34 felonies. And guess what? I still won. All right, the whole point of 34 felonies is to stop me from doing what? Running for president and stop me from winning. Guess what? I still ran. I still won. He doesn't even have to address it. It doesn't matter anymore. When something is really a fact in your life, you don't have to keep talking about it. Kamala Harris, this is a feminine weakness, is that she can't mentally turn that over in her head. This is the problem. She can't turn it over. Is why she keeps arguing about it. She needs to never mention the word qualified ever again. That's what she should do. I don't think she can. She's 60 years old. I don't think she can change who she is at this point. Every time she argues qualified, she gets people talking about whether she's qualified or not again. It actually has a backfiring effect. She thinks bringing up that I'm qualified is further solidifying that she indeed is qualified. What it actually does is get people questioning whether she's qualified or not. That's what it actually does. Oh, people are like, oh, Kamala Harris mentioned qualified. Oh, yeah, you're right. She wasn't qualified because she didn't do this. She didn't do that. She didn't do that. She can't do this. She's not good at that. All it does is get people talking about all the negative points about her all over again. Do you understand? This stuff has a backfiring effect. When you get too defensive, and all of you can take this with you. When someone is criticizing you and you get too defensive and you're like responding to every single criticism, you give legs to the criticism. Even if the criticism is some nonsense, if you respond to it, now everybody's talking about it because you responded to it. So the smartest thing to do is to say nothing. Say something, but say nothing about the criticism. Again, look at Donald Trump. He's a great example of this. He gets criticized more than anybody. Most of the criticisms he gets, he doesn't respond directly to the criticism. What he does is he reframes the energy of either the critique itself or the person delivering the critique, and he turns it into an offensive weapon to go at them. You throw one punch at him, he hits you with two. That way, he reframes everything. So anybody who tries to come at him, he actually goes at them. Look what he did to the mainstream media. Now we had to turn fake news. Now the mainstream media has no credibility. He destroyed the mainstream media. Look at the New York Times. He destroyed them because they kept coming at him. Every time they hit him with one punch, he hit him with two or three punches back, counter punches. In the combat sport world, they call that return fire. Every time you threw a punch, you got hit back. It was like fighting Floyd Mayweather. You throw one punch, you're going to miss and get hit twice. To get to the point you don't want to throw punches anymore. And this is what Donald Trump does expertly. So he's expertly made for this world. Gavin Newsom is trying to get there. He's better than Kamala. He's a lot better than Kamala. He ain't Trump, but he's better than Kamala. Kamala is terrible. Again, Kamala supporters, I'm giving y'all free game here. Y'all need to take everything I'm giving you here today and go run this up the flagpole to Kamala and let her know what's going on. She must fix these problems. She got 3 years. Actually, doesn't have 3 years because 3 years will be right at the election season. When does a primary end? Let's find out. When do they actually pick the nominee? When do they pick the nominee for president? In 2028, when there's a Democratic primary, at what point do they actually pick the nominee for the Democratic Party? Around what time of year? I'm asking DuckDuckGo this question. So any of you got an answer? Around what time? We're talking around it's around like the spring, right? Like April, May, something like that is when they pick it. So the primary calendar, haphazard history of the presidential primary calendar. Okay, so it has a haphazard history according to this censorforpolitics.org website that I'm reading. I'm just trying to find out what the timeline is and when they actually pick the nominee. So they're talking about DNC's rules. They're giving me too much detail here. I just need a date. They're not giving me a date. Anybody know the date? When do they actually pick the nominee? So 20 presidential nominee need to start leading right now. So people are writing articles about nominees need to step their game up. So there are people who understand this. All right, Real Clear polling has presidential nomination. Right now, they're saying RCP average. So right now, here's what they said. All right, I'm looking at this list. This is not answering my question. But what it's saying is, one of my, so I see y'all saying that this person is spamming. One of the moderators, please get Maggie out of there. Block Maggie off the stream. They're spamming my comments. I don't mind anybody disagreeing. Just don't spam my comments. So any moderators who are in there, please get Maggie out of there. If they're not, I'll do it. So they have Gavin Newsom as number one at 25%, Harris at 20%. A distant third is Pete Buttigieg at 11%. And thank you for getting rid of her. And then you got AOC at 8%, Pritzker at 4%, Shapiro at 3%. So this is where we are right now. Newsom 25%, Harris 20%. They're the two front runners. So if you're running at 20% for the 2028 election, you're Kamala Harris. You telling me you wouldn't run with these numbers? Any of you listening to this, you wouldn't run with these numbers? I would. If I'm at 20% and the leader's at 25%, I'm running. That means I got a fighter's chance of winning. I got a puncher's chance of winning. This is absolutely worth taking a shot for Kamala Harris. And again, what the hell else is she gonna do? So, as I said, Kamala needs to stop talking about the word qualified because Gavin Newsom is going to use that against her. If he's smart, he will use that against her. He'll just destroy her. He'll take a blunt instrument to Kamala and just destroy her in the primary, which is what he should do if it happens. But we'll see. Now, these kind of quotes, as I just said, opens the door for opposition, opens the door for people to ridicule you and to attack you because you keep talking about it. You keep bringing this up. Now, you brought the narrative back to whether you're qualified or not. You're sending the conversation backwards. What Kamala Harris needs to be doing, again, Kamala Harris paid me anywhere from $50 to $100K to consult with her. This is what I would tell her and her team of people who, you want to talk about unqualified, it's her team who are unqualified because it actually either it's her team or it's her that's unqualified. It's either her team's not good enough to get this message to her, or B, Kamala is too hard-headed to listen to what her team is saying. It might be the second. It might be Kamala's just too hard-headed to listen to her team. If she hires me, she's going to listen to me or I'm going to fire her. And my fees are non-refundable. What she needs to do is start talking about the future. Listen to what Donald Trump did. Once Donald Trump got out in 2021, anytime he talked about they did me wrong and I'm going to get revenge. He didn't say this in so many words. So I'm going to get revenge by winning the next one. That was his whole frame the whole time. After 2020, they did me wrong by cheating me, and I'm going to get revenge by winning the next one. What is he talking about? The future. He's framing the future. What does that do? That gets his base excited. It gets people thinking about the future, and it gets you questioning not what happened in the past, i.e., he said they cheated me, because he ends the statement by saying, I'm going to win the next one. He gets you thinking about, can he win the next one, even though he hadn't even become a nominee yet. So he's unconsciously planting the idea in your mind that he's going to win the next election before the next election even happens. That's what Kamala needs to be doing. She needs to be talking about 2028. Instead, she's still relitigating 2024. Or you lost 2024. Okay, yes, you became the nominee. So stop arguing about whether you're qualified or not. You were the nominee. You're polling at 20%. The only person polling ahead of you is Gavin Newsom. Focus on that. And that's all she has to do. Just focus on the future and how you can win in the future and what you're going to do for the future Americans. You got a captive audience of fans who bought your fucking book, paid $200 for a ticket to listen to you talk about your book. And these are the people you need to be riling up because they're the ones who are going to help you win. But again, what do I know? If she paid me as a consultant, I could help her out with this, but I'm not sure if she's willing to listen. This is her best opportunity. Kamala is already, let's see how far into her tour she is. Let's find Kamala's page. Kamala, where was I? Go back to Kamala Harris's website. Her tour, 107 days tour. This book went on sale September 23rd. So it's already been on sale for, 3 weeks? I think she's doing pretty well sales-wise. She already did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She did 9 dates on her tour. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dates left. I think she's doing 1 date in, I think one of these dates is in London. So that one doesn't even matter because they can't vote. So let's just say 8. So she's about halfway through her tour. If Kamala, anybody know Kamala Harris? Anybody can get this message to Kamala Harris, clip this out, send it out to Kamala. Kamala, spend the rest of your tour talking about how you are not qualified, but don't use the word qualified, but how you can help Americans in 2028 and beyond. That's what you need to be spending the rest of your book tour talking about. These are your most ardent supporters. These are people who bought your fucking book. They most likely voted for you. They are paying money to come hear you talk when you don't even have a job. You just lost the election less than a year ago. They're still showing up to support you. These are the people who will help you win if you're going to win in 2028. These are your people. Stop talking about the past and talk about the future so that they are galvanized and activated to focus on the future. Imagine Donald Trump was on tour in 2021. Imagine Donald Trump was on tour this time 4 years ago after being booted out of the White House after the 2020 election, which he really didn't like he didn't like how that went, and he didn't agree with the outcome. Imagine he was on tour, what would he be saying? That's what Kamala needs to be saying. But again, what do I know? So anyway, do I have any more? One more thing. These qualification thing, as I said at the beginning of this live, qualification is subjective, ladies and gentlemen. You are as qualified as you claim to be. As soon as you claim that you're qualified, you're qualified. And as soon as you claim that you're qualified, and then you do the thing that you say you're qualified to do, you never had to mention it ever again. Now just do it. It's over. It's already signed, sealed, delivered. It is accepted as reality, and you just keep doing it. But when you keep saying it, every time you bring it up, you bring it into question, and now people are going to question it because you brought it up. Stop putting it on the table. It can't be talked about. Somebody else puts it on the table, ignore it, and just keep talking about what you want to talk about. I told y'all this yesterday. When you're a politician, the key to political discourse is not addressing everything that gets said to or about you. The key is taking everything said to or about you, then you reframe it into what you want to talk about, and you talk about that. And you don't talk about anything you don't want to talk about. That's how it works. But again, what do I know? Kamala Harris was Attorney General. She was a senator. She was vice president. She should know. She should understand all of this, right? Anyway, let's get into the comments, get into the questions. I do need to take a quick restroom break. Let me take a quick restroom break, folks, and then we'll get to this. Give me 90 seconds, and then we'll get to our favorite sounds.
Strawberry cheesecake.
And this one.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
90 seconds. Be right back. back. Let's get to it. So, if you got a question or comment, you can go ahead and put it in the comments. I'm going to be reading from the oldest comments to the newest comments. So, if I don't see your comment when you immediately when you post it, it's not because I'm ignoring your comment. I'm just reading from the oldest to the newest. I try to catch up to real time comments by the time I get to the end of this. So, again, I'm not ignoring your comment. I cannot read every single comment because there are too many of them, but I'll get through as many as I can. So Cheetah Monk says she has no accomplishments. You talking about Kamala Harris? Well, she does have accomplishments. She was the attorney general. You had to win an election for that. She was a senator. You got to win an election for that. She became vice president. So she got chosen by the person who did win an election. And she technically was the nominee for president. Those are accomplishments. We can't say those are not accomplishments. We can't do that. And she just put out a book that's been on New York Times bestseller list. And as we can all see, we've been looking at the tour. Kamala Harris is on tour, and these tickets are selling, folks. People are buying tickets to these events. So we just looked at this. Let's pull it up again. Adrienne Arsh Center. Buy tickets for her event. For those of you who weren't watching at the beginning of this live stream, there is only one event left. Kamala did like 15. She's doing like 15 to 20 dates on her book tour. This is the only date that still has tickets available. This is at the Adrienne Arsh Center in Miami, Florida, my town, on November 20th, about a month from now. This is the chart to buy tickets. The gray are seats that have already been purchased. The black are seats that you can still buy. You notice there's only one dot on this whole map. Kamala has sold all of these tickets. They sold out the venue. There's only one ticket left. We talked about this at the beginning of the live. For those of you who weren't here, this ticket costs $178. There's only one ticket left all the way in the back. It's $178. So we can't say she has no accomplishments. So somehow, some way, she sold out this venue. So this is the orchestra. Oh, actually, you know what? I stand corrected. She didn't sell all the tickets yet. There are more tickets. So Adrienne Arsh Center has 4 levels. So the plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you who were here at the beginning, there's more to the story. So the orchestra level, that's the lower floor. That has 1 seat available. That's the one that I showed you. Now, tier 2, there are more tickets. So the plot thickens. So on tier 2, more tickets available. That's like the upper levels. It says there are 2 tickets available, but I don't see where they are. So tier 2 is up here. So this is like orchestra seating. So you see it's like that. I don't see the tickets. So I don't know. They said there's 2 seats available, but I don't see it. I don't see anything on here. But they say there's 1 available seat here. Not 2, 1. 1 seat available. Let's see. Let me look at it again. Maybe my eyes are deceiving me. I don't see any tickets available on this webpage. So tier 2 now is all right. So here we go. So tier 1, no tickets. Tier 2. Where's this ticket on tier 2? I don't see shit. So I don't know where this ticket is. So if I'm trying to sit on tier 2, I have no idea where to buy this ticket. Maybe it's the. Oh yeah. So there's a seat for if you're in a wheelchair. There's no actual chair. You could just roll your wheelchair up there. So any of you in a wheelchair, this ticket is also $178. So anybody in a wheelchair want to hear Kamala in November, you can buy a ticket as well. You can roll your wheelchair up to an empty spot. There's no seat there, just for your wheelchair. Now on tier 3, there are 62 available tickets. So there's a bunch of tickets available, and these are all in the back. So look at this. This is tier 3. And you see all the available seats are in black. Y'all see that? Now, what does that tell you? That tells you all the good seats have already been sold. Now, somebody's buying these tickets, everybody. All right, somebody's buying these tickets. All the way in the back. The highest ticket in the back costs $143 to hear Kamala Harris speak in Miami on November 20th. This is all the way in the back. Now, tier 4, this is the nosebleed section. The 172 seats available in the nosebleed seats. So if you want to hear Kamala in what we call the nosebleed seats, as you can see, all the best seats taken again. This is the highest level. There's 172 tickets available here. I'm looking at the worst seat that I could possibly buy. Is $108. We cannot say that Kamala Harris has no accomplishments. All right, she sold tickets to this event somehow, some way. Diana Dalome says, I say you run for president. No, I'm not running for president. I'm not into the public sector is not for me. Stephen Albert said the wheels on the bus go round and round. Why are you saying that? Nye said, what about Cory Booker? What about him? Nikki said, do you think Tulsi Gabbard would run? Well, she did run in 2019. She just didn't make it. Diana said, who do you agree with? Pray tell. What do you mean? Who do I agree with? Steven said, Kamala's about imprisoning men on falsehoods. Well, Kamala Harris was a prosecutor. Now, you got to understand the prosecutor's job is to get convictions for the state. That's the job of a prosecutor. So I understand why people say that about Kamala, but that's kind of the job. If you sign up to be a prosecutor, your job is your job is getting convictions. And convictions usually mean people going to jail. Now I said, please speak on Cory Booker. What about Cory Booker? Iceman said, what is Trump about? Trump's about helping the economy because he's a businessman. That's his frame. America first, meaning get the illegals out of the country and making America great again. That's what he's about. Now, you may not agree with him saying those things. You may not agree with how he goes about it, but we can't say that we don't know what he's about. Not so said, wish we had Bernie right now. We do have Bernie. Wish we had him. What do you mean had him? You mean as president? LTH Texas said, I don't think he has any substance at all. You talking about Donald Trump? He has substance. It's very clear what he's about. Again, all of you can agree what he's about. Again, you may not like what he's about, but you know what he's about. What is Kamala Harris about? If you can't answer the question, that's how you know somebody has no substance. One man said Trump is about shit, but you know what he's about. Now, you may bash him. That right there was a bash.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
But you know what he's about. Make America great again. I'm going to help the economy because I'm a businessman and I'm an expert at business. I can negotiate and end the wars. And we're going to be America first, meaning we're not focusing on immigrants anymore. We're going to focus on the people who are here in America. Everyone knows that Donald Trump is about that. No one can say that they don't know that. Big Pop says she is her own worst enemy. Kind of. I don't think she thinks that, though. DJ Dynamite said Trump is a leader, gets things done. Whether or not you like what he does is another topic. Well, some people don't think he gets things done, nor do they think he's a leader. But I get what you're saying. Nah, you keep talking about Cory Booker. You're a Cory Booker truther. Cory Booker ain't doing anything. Cory Booker's going to keep doing what he's doing until he retires. He ain't going nowhere. Marcus said, word silent queen. Yeah, well, she does that because she can't speak off the cuff. That's her problem. Big Rob said her substance showed when she crushed Trump in the debate. I don't know if she crushed him in the debate. If she crushed him in the debate, why did the swing states all vote for Donald Trump?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy. Okay.
Number two, you can't really say you won the debate. How do you win a debate? The only debates that actually have scoring are the ones that you do in high school or college. Other debates are just the audience. The people who like you are going to say you won. The people who like the other person are going to say that they won. So how do you actually win? Number three, Kamala was able to prepare her answers to every question in the debate. Now, her answers were clearly rehearsed. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not reporting this, my theory is that the moderators or the company that was doing that debate gave Kamala the questions ahead of time so she could prepare for them, even though they're not supposed to. Again, I'm not reporting that. So to say that she crushed Trump in the debate doesn't make any sense on any metric, by any metric, because if she crushed him in the debate, then that should have led to a downstream outcome that worked out in her favor. There were zero. So Jessica said he actually can't stand Democrats. You are a true Republican. You talking about me? I can't stand Democrats. I have no issue with Democrats in general. A lot of people in my family, a lot of people I grew up with, even friends of mine are Democrats. So I don't have an issue with Democrats. I'm talking about Kamala Harris, and I gave you specific reasons why I have critiqued her here today. And I would actually help her. Child for Now said, to prove she was the best candidate for president, not like she crawled out from under a rock, 107. Okay, fair enough. Lasagna said, Westmore is a Democrat governor of Maryland. He isn't helping. What about him? Rose, thanks for the follow. Lasagna, good morning. Nye, what is this Cory Booker shit you keep talking about? Who cares about Cory Booker? When did you get engaged? When did you get so engaged about Cory Booker? Diana Dalom said, you probably voted for you know who. Who did I vote for?
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Levi Durst, thanks for the follow. Laura, thanks for the follow. TF Wilson, thanks for the follow. Lasagna said, Westmore lies. He doesn't care to help lower the prices to renew tags for your vehicle. Well, it's not so easy for the governor to just do that. They got to work with other people. The government has a system of checks and balances. You got to go through other people to get anything done. The leaders make it sound like they are doing it when something happens in their favor. And when things don't happen, they blame the system of checks and balances that block them. And the system of checks and balances is in place even when they do something that they want to do. It's not so easy to just do stuff as a president or a governor in America. Kanye said, have a lot of money in the stock market and these billionaires will help him for a while. Then he will I don't know what the rest of that was. It said Republicans are no longer the party of responsibility. Millions a day is being spent on ICE. Well, we spend millions a day on a lot of things, Connie. Melissa said, tell me about how she had no plan for America. Well, she had a plan, just people didn't agree with the plan well enough to vote for her over Trump. She did have a plan. I didn't like the plan. I didn't think the plan had any real substance. I think she was just throwing things out there just to get people to vote for her. But I don't think she was going to do any of that stuff because there was no way to do it. Stuff she was throwing out were things that could not possibly happen because the government doesn't have the resources to just do these things that she was saying. So that's why it was not believable. So she did have a plan, but it wasn't a good plan. Bugman, thanks for the follow. Greek Mom says she never had any substance and do anything while VP for 4 years. Most VP is only certain things you can do. You do answer to the president. But I get what you're saying. And that does go on her resume that she was under Biden. Nikki said Trump doesn't want to see the U.S. get ripped off and saying that for many years he's a businessman. Yes, talked about that yesterday. Diana said, you should know since you're an expert. I should know what? And never did I once label myself an expert. So, Diana, what are you responding to here?
Strawberry cheesecake.
You get the straw man by saying, since you're an expert, by putting expert in quotation marks. Never once did I claim I was an expert on nothing that I'm talking about here today. I am an expert on communication and being able to break things down and explain them, but never once did I declare that I was an expert. So you saying that, you get the straw man award for that. Steven said she got nothing done in 4 years as VP. Well, the VP can't really get anything done. You got to put that all on the president, and she worked for the president. So it goes on her resume because of that. But the VP's job is not really getting things done. Their job is to do what the president says. Zion said bills are higher. Westmore lied about how much money the former governor left in his debt. Okay, fair enough. Stay true. My YouTube link is in my profile on TikTok. And I do these for about 2 hours a day. And the replays are always on YouTube. Lasagna said, Lasagna, why you keep talking about Maryland? You talking a lot about Westmore. Jessica says she doesn't have to be qualified. Like Trump said, he's just the messenger of the party. Well, you do need to be qualified because people are going to ask that. What makes you qualified to be this person to do what you're doing? You have to be able to answer the question on some level, but you don't have to keep talking about it. But we can't say that you don't need to be qualified because then you're not going to win any votes. Steven said, you make excuses, you're guilty as hell. What are you referring to? Kay Hudson, thanks for the share. Sharon819, thanks for the follow. Nikki said he's quick-witted. LOL. You talking about me? Medic62 said you support Donnie, don't you? You talking about Donald Trump? Well, as the president, I support whoever the president is. Trump, Biden, Obama, Bush, Clinton. Whoever the president is, I want them to do well as long as I live in America because I'm a citizen. Echo said Trump makes fun of the criticism. Well, he always used it as an offensive weapon one way or another. Karina said Gavin trying to copy Trump and failing. Yeah, he's trying to copy Trump in his way, and he's, again, a little bit too much of a polished politician. That's the reason why it's coming off as fake. But there are people who like it. We can't act like he doesn't have fans. He has fans. He did win the election to become governor in California. So California, y'all voted for that guy. Joker said, and right on time, problem with Gavin, he's a horrible leader. He's destroying Cali. Well, why'd y'all vote for him? Y'all voted for Gavin. Marky said Newsom has a very bad track record in California. Well, two things on his track record are winning two gubernatorial elections. William Gross said they just put her in last time. She didn't need nomination. Well, she technically inherited the nomination of Joe Biden. Nine said, what about Cory Booker? He would serve America greatly. You could be his VP. No. Nah, what are you talking about? That's not happening.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Okay. Let's see. Just me says, and independent Democrats are wild to think Newsom and Harris are the front runners. No, they are the front runners. You're not thinking it. They are the front runners. That's the reality. Gavin Newsom is number one. Kamala's number two right now. DeMarco says she is not going to run. I think she is. Marcus said Maggie has emotional damage. I wasn't seeing what she was saying, but I just saw that she was putting those blue hearts. So it looked like she was spamming. Echo said 5 minutes to get 100K. Help out our host. Tap, please. Yes, let's get to 100K, folks. We're at 98,000. Can we get to 100K, please? Can people like the live so we can get to 100,000 likes on this live here? Mimi said, "I agree. It's her team to let her down. Maybe, Mimi. I would have to hear the internal conversations. I think it's very possible Kamala is just too stubborn and hard headed to listen to what her team is saying, or people on her team just ain't that good, or it could possibly be both. Steven said it's both. It might be both. Maybe her team's just not that good, and she doesn't want to listen and change her stripes. Because I mean, look how far she's gotten doing what she's been doing. Again, as I said, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks." Elrod Johnson says the primary schedule for 2028 election is not set yet. Okay. Well, I was asking not the exact dates, Elrod. What I'm looking for is around the time that the nominee is chosen. Isn't that around like April or May, or does it take longer? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Zion said, "What do I think of Stephen A. Smith? What about him? I mean, he's entertaining on ESPN, but politics, he has nothing." Karina says she's taking advice from Gen Z non-binary interns. Yes, that's probably true. I said, "Help her, please." I would help her, but they got to pay me. I'm giving her some free advice right here, but we would need to go deeper for her to actually make these changes permanent. Marco said, "Kamala wasn't even good AG for California. She couldn't win governor in California." Fair enough. She did win the Senate, though. Zion said, "What do you think Stephen A. Smith run for president Democrat even though he's independent?" First of all, Stephen A. Smith is not independent. He's a Democrat claiming independence so that he can look like he's being objective. Secondly, Stephen A. Smith has very little substance. He's a good speaker. He's good at speaking, similar to Gavin Newsom, but he has no substance. He says he looks and sees which way the wind is blowing, and he sounds like he's talking about that. And he's articulate enough that he sounds like he knows what he's talking about to people who can't see through his nonsense. But I can see through his nonsense. Stephen A. Smith has no substance on politics. He doesn't really know anything. He just repeats things and he can say it smoothly enough that it sounds like he's smart. So Stephen A. Smith sounds smart to the type of people who watch him on ESPN. And the type of stuff that comes on ESPN during the day is made for men who don't have anything better to do. Often they're not even at work or they're at a job where they can watch TV all day. It's usually a menial task that has very little substance. This is why you're watching TV. And they think of Stephen A. Smith as a smart man. Stephen A. Smith is not that. He is entertaining, but entertainers go in this box and people of substance go in a different box. Stephen A. Smith is in the entertainer's box. That's what I think of Stephen A. Smith. So does he have a chance in politics to run for anything? Hell no. HJYUT said, "Please don't give Kamala any advice." Well, I offered it for free. So we'll see if she watched this live and she'll take it. But other than that, they had to pay me. Ashley said, "Kamala lacks self-awareness to acknowledge her blind spots." Maybe. Maybe she lacks the self-awareness. It depends. Maybe her team didn't tell her, or maybe they did it and she ignored it, or maybe both, but we don't know. TNC says she pays singers millions that she didn't have. Well, she had it. It's just that they used it in ways that I don't think was smart. The OG said, "If Johnny has 5 apples." I am Miss Kennedy. Good morning. LTH Texas said, "I can get more votes than who? Kamala?" Natasha Harris, thanks for the follow. Jewel the King said, "Halfway through tour and still no one cares." Now, I would challenge that, Jewel the King. She sold a lot of tickets. Karina said, "Nope, she won't try. Nope, she won't. She will try to run last minute, expect her book readers to rush to the polls." No, she's going to have to get into the primary. Well, there's no last minute with the primary. She's got to get in there and actually compete. DJ Dynamite said, "I mean, if Arnold could run and get elected, Stephen A. can run. I wouldn't trust him if elected, though." Arnold has some substance behind what he was saying. Stephen A. does not have substance. Stephen A. has talking points. He's good at articulating the talking points, but what is he actually about? There's no answer to the question. Arnold was about something. And any of you who lives in California when he was running, go look up what he was about. I think it was pretty clear. Stephen A., what is he about? William Gross said, "Kamala could only win a debate against herself. Can't see her winning against anybody else." Or just coming out looking good. It's not even about winning, because how do you win a debate? Tiffany said, "Why would you ever want to help Kamala win? LOL." Well, it's not so much about helping her win. It's about, if she paid my fee, then I would consult her and give her some tips that would make her a better public speaker. Now, if her platform has no substance, she's still going to lose. But I can make her a better public speaker, so at least it'd be interesting. Miss T, thanks for the follow. Karina said, "One turning point event has..." I lost my spot here. When the comments refresh, I'll lose my spot. So Karina said, "One turning point event has double the amount of attendance. America leans right." Well, right now is leaning right, but that can change in one electoral cycle. Nye said, please call her. I don't have Kamala's number. And she would really have to call me. William Gross says, Kamala was only vice president that never went to Europe. Is that true? Britain Strong, thanks for the follow. Dark Matter said, no politics, do what we the people want you to do. You don't have a choice. What does that mean? Elena M said, he complained for 8 years. You don't always, nothing about that. Elena, what does that mean? Say that in proper grammar, please. Goldie, thanks for the follow. Echo said, are y'all tapping fingers tired today? Yes, tap the screen, folks. We're at 109,000 likes. We could get to 150 here. We got about 23 minutes. Please tap the screen as we get the likes up.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.
Nikki said, I prefer Tulsi Gabbard over Kamala. Well, Tulsi went to the Trump administration, so she might have to run as a Republican. I'm not sure if she would be able to run as a Democrat again. Nathan said that was literally 63 seconds. Oh, well, good. I under promised and over delivered then. LTA said, who you got for 2028? Well, it depends on who's running. Right now, if there was an election today, probably JD Vance. If we didn't know anything new, JD Vance would probably win right now just because Trump has the White House and he can get the vision of being next to Donald Trump. But it depends on who's running. Nathan said they'll pay people to sit in the seats for all the ones that weren't actually bought. Maybe that's a possibility, but I think those seats got bought. I think those tickets got bought. Let's remember, folks, Kamala Harris was the vice presidential nominee. So it ain't like she's some nobody. And in all these pockets, all these cities that she's speaking in, these are cities that are blue cities. They are Democrat. These are people who vote Democrat no matter who the nominee is. They voted for Kamala. Kamala wrote a book. She's doing an event. They bought a ticket to go hear Kamala speak. This is not beyond the pale, folks. These are real people buying real tickets to go see a VP nominee. Kamala Harris got tens of millions of votes. Who do you think those people are? Those people have green money. They buy books. They go to events. Some of you don't want to accept the idea that Kamala could sell tickets for a book event. She very well could sell tickets to a book event. Christian said, do you think she will win a nomination in 2028? As of now, I do not think she will win, but she's going to run because she is the number 2 contender right now next to Gavin Newsom. Laura said, in all seriousness, she seems to have a substance issue, maybe alcohol. I don't know about that. Britt said, I'm starting to think NYT bestseller isn't the flex it used to be. Well, it will always be, not always. Let me not say always. It is still what it has been known as because a lot of people don't understand the publishing industry. They don't know how it works. Most people just hear New York Times bestseller. That must mean you have a very popular book and you're a really good writer and you're selling a lot of books. Now, that does mean that you're popular. Does not mean you're a good writer. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're selling a lot of books. It just means a lot of books got bought somehow, some way. You can buy books in bulk. So Simon & Schuster, if they want Kamala to hit the number 1 on the bestsellers list, they can go buy 5,000 copies of the book in bulk. That bumps up her numbers by 5,000. She becomes number 1 on the list. And now she's on the list next week as number 1. Now, did she actually sell 5,000 copies to individual people? No. But the book still did get sold somehow, some way. So there's a lot of ways to game the system. But Britt, to respond to what you said, being on New York Times bestseller list still carries weight because people still put it in their bios. They still put it they put it on their websites. They put it next to their name. I'm a number 1 New York Times bestselling author. It still carries weight. We can't completely discount it. I get what you're saying, but we can't completely discount it. Indiana said, you should go to the Kamala Miami event. No, I wouldn't pay money to hear Kamala speak. I would listen to Kamala speak for free, but I wouldn't pay it. And I'm not buying her book to be at the event. They would give me a physical copy. I'm going to listen to the audio book. So, no, I'm not going to Kamala's event. I will go to Megyn Kelly's event, but I'm going to be out of town the exact date that she's going to be here, which is in about 3 weeks. Jason said, do I support Kamala? I don't know. What does that mean? That support word is a loaded word these days. So what do you mean by do I support her? Roscoe said, George Soros bought all the tickets. Well, somebody bought those tickets. And there's enough blue voting people in Miami to sell those tickets. Some of y'all are in denial that she can buy those tickets. That somebody could buy those tickets, rather. And so a bunch of you keep saying George Soros. I don't think so. Political derangement syndrome exists on both sides. in some ways. I think it's stronger against Trump simply because people are so strong against Trump. Indiana said Kamala's donors are buying the premium tickets. Maybe, but donors are real people with real money. I mean, that's still a thing. We can't act like it's not a thing. Runaway Sky said, "Are you a Trump supporter?" No, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not on any side politically. I have no political affiliations. Indiana said, "I can't wait to see J.D. Vance up against any one of these Dems." Well, that's going to happen if he's the nominee. Him against Newsom will be an interesting conversation. There'll be a lot of back and forth rhetoric. It would be interesting to see. Jake Lancaster, thanks for the follow. J. Rocker says, just because she won a debate doesn't automatically make her win presidency, obviously. Well, J. Rocker, you're kind of thinking past the sale here. You said just because she won the debate. How did she win the debate? If she won, by what metric? There were no stats for the debate. That she lost the election, and she didn't. I don't think she won the debate. I don't think anybody won the debate. It's just a debate. There's no scoreboard for a debate. Mama Bear, thanks for the follow. Lynn said, what are your thoughts on Hillary's candidacy in 2016? What about it? She ran, she lost. I think Hillary was stronger than Kamala because Hillary at least won the primary. Now, Hillary was married to damn Bill Clinton and she was working for Barack Obama, so that helped her a lot. But she did win the primary after she didn't win the primary against Barack Obama, but it's a different story. Steven said half her plan she took from Trump. Well, she should have took the other half of the plan, and she didn't do it. Now, how do you get the daily texts? 305-384-6894. Text me at that number, 305-384-6894. That's how you get into my text group. We send out daily motivation every day, weekly motivation every Monday. Demetrius Harden, thanks for the follow. Eloise Williams, thanks for the follow. Daily motivation is $5 a month. Weekly motivation is free. But you can get into the text group for free. So it's free just to send me a text. And we'll tell you your options and give you the link if you want to get the daily motivation. Lee, thanks for the super popular. Stephen Albert, thanks for the go popular. William Grove said, Kamala was the border czar, never went to the border. She had never gone to Europe either. Oh, yeah, I remember that interview when she hadn't been to the border. Rich the Squid said, not all voted for Gavin. Yes, of course, but enough that he won the election. California is a big state. He won the election. So I don't know. Jay said, can we just have normal elections without clowns from both sides running? No, Jay, you can't have that. You get whoever the Democrats and Republicans choose their nominee. That's who you get. CC Nelly said they chose the nominee in July. Yeah, that's what I'm asking that. I'm just trying to figure out around what time the nominee is chosen. So Kamala's got about 2.5 years. She got so this time in 2006, this time in 2007, and then she got to start primary. So she got to be ready by the time the primaries begin. Karina said, I can definitely see through Stephen A. Well, Stephen A has fans who like the things that he says because, again, he's articulate. Stephen A can articulate. The thing is, there's no real substance behind what he says. He's just articulate enough that people who don't have his level of articulation listen to him and think that he's smart because he sounds smart, but he's not actually saying anything. You really listen to what he's saying, he's not saying anything. Cece says she doesn't listen. She has staff turnover because they don't like her. I've heard that, Cece. No, I've heard many people say that about her. Yoey Lopez, thanks for the follow. Lee, thanks for the gifts. Shitan Talwar, thanks for what is that? Is that a coconut? Kurt said if she was qualified at all, she would have been elected. No, Kurt, that's not true. She was qualified enough that she got to where she's at. Now, to be elected, you got to win an election. That's not about qualification. Cece says she won 2% of the vote in the presidential primary first time in 2020. Well, she actually dropped out before they even started voting. So she didn't win any. She won 0 votes because she wasn't even in the running anymore when they started voting. She dropped out because her campaign was doing so poorly. Nathan said, so it's good to know that she's still going to lose then. Well, too early to tell. Folks, it's only 2025, everybody. It's too early to really know what's going to happen in 2028. Cece said, the pendulum has swung. America is going to lean right for the next 20 years. I highly doubt that. Cece, I'm going to disagree with that one.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Right now, it may feel like that, but that's not going to happen. And also, any of you who is a conservative, you don't want the country to just lean right for the next 20 years. Why? Because absolute power corrupts absolutely. You need the Democrats to have enough weight to make the Republicans have to shift. Because if the Republicans just win, eventually they're going to get corrupt too. Or if you don't think they're corrupt now. So we need there to be an opposition to push back against whoever has power. That is necessary. William said, JD Vance and I get VP. No, I don't see myself being a vice president to anybody. Cece says she appointed his nominee by the party. That doesn't mean she has popular support. Well, the fact that she became nominee does not necessarily mean she has popular support, Cece. If that's what you're actually trying to say here. But once she got the nomination, she got a whole bunch of built-in support just because she's a Democrat. And that support did not go away just because she lost. So she has a bunch of support, popular support now, because of the position that she inherited by Joe Biden's backing out of the election in 2024. And those fans are not going to stop being fans of hers. She got them for life now. Nathan said, New York Times bestseller just means Oprah Winfrey loved it. Well, you could be a bestseller without Oprah, but I get what you're saying. But New York Times bestseller is still a New York Times bestseller. That phrase still carries weight. And again, let's remember, folks, most people have no idea how the publishing industry works. So when they see New York Times bestseller, they just assume this must be a great book. You're a great writer. And wow, that's amazing. You got New York Times bestseller without having any idea how you got there or what it takes to get there. Kelly Marie, thanks for the reposts. Christy, thanks for the gifts, a couple of them. Dora said her book is included in the ticket price. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. If you're doing a book tour, your book should be included in the ticket price. I don't have a problem with that. If I do a book tour, I want my book included in the ticket price too, because that way every ticket I sell also includes a book sale that helps me with the publisher, that helps me fill the seats, it helps me make some money. And if everybody buys my book, well, guess what I'm going to do after the event? I'm going to sit down and sign books. So all this is good. All this is good for my business, good for my marketing, is good for my brand. Everything Kamala's doing with the book tour is on the up and up. These are all smart things to do. Now, as far as her political career is a different story. But as far as the book tour, she's doing this all correctly. And it's actually not her. It's Simon & Schuster, who is her publisher. They're the ones handling the book tour. So if you go to her website, you see Simon & Schuster's handling the book tour. They're the ones selling the tickets. They're booking the venues. They're doing everything. All Kamala has to do is just show up and talk and go home. And then she just collects a check at the end of the day. That's the way the publishing industry wants things to work. They like when they can get a whale like Kamala. Kamala's a whale to them. For those of you who don't know that language, a whale in the publishing industry is a person who you know is going to sell a ton of books, regardless of the quality of the book. Kamala Harris is that person. Michelle Obama, Barack Obama. These people sell a ton of books just because they're famous. Kim Kardashian, for example. Doesn't matter what's in the book. Doesn't matter if the book's any good. Doesn't matter if the person is smart. Doesn't matter if they can write. Doesn't matter. A famous person is going to sell a bunch of books just because they're famous. Marcus said, good example of corruption is California. I'll take your word for it. Ms. B said, can't we all just get along? Hell no, we can't all get along. LTA's Texas, thank you for the chili. Nathan said, New York Times keep giving bestsellers the way they are maybe is going to lessen values. Well, Nathan Don, the way bestsellers goes is every week they publish a list of the best-selling books. So every week there's a bestseller. So, I mean, it's not like they changed the rules. The rules for how they calculate has changed over time, but the rules of who gets to label themselves a bestseller hasn't changed. Every week they publish a list, or however often they publish a list, and whoever's at the top of the list, they can say, I'm a #1 New York Times bestseller. That's the way it works. Simon & Schuster is the name of the company of Kamala's book tour. I mean, Kamala's publisher. Simon & Schuster, very, very popular publisher. They're very well known. So again, those of you who want to go see Kamala on tour, for those of you who may have missed some of the dates, any of you want to get tickets, tomorrow evening should be in Birmingham, Alabama. It says that the tickets are sold out, but I'm gonna click and see if are there any tickets available. So I'm looking at this one for Birmingham, Alabama, right? That's tomorrow. So Kamala's speaking in Birmingham, Alabama tomorrow. And on this website, it says the tickets are sold out. But when I click on the button for tickets, she's speaking at the Alabama Theater with a company called Books A Million. They're a book selling company, like a book retail seller. I'm seeing tickets available. So the plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen. They said that it says sold out, but now I'm looking at it and they're showing tickets available. So maybe Kamala did not sell all the tickets yet, because for tomorrow's event in Birmingham, there are tickets available according to what I see right here. Standard admission. These are only tickets available are all standard admission, and they're all $200 a piece. So you can get 2 tickets for $200 each. So any of you got $400 to spare, discretionary income, discretionary money, you can go and buy 2 tickets to see Kamala Harris in Birmingham, Alabama tomorrow night for $400 total. $400 total. You can go see Kamala. Any of you want those tickets? Kamala tomorrow night, Birmingham, Alabama. Now the next event, this is going to the UK. That'll take her a week. She'll be back in LA at the Wiltern with a company called Book Soup Thursday, October 28th. Let's see if there are any tickets here. This is also by Ticketmaster. Now they got some cheaper tickets in LA. You're gonna go to the LA event. The cheapest ticket is $107 each. The more expensive ticket, the most expensive ticket, let's see. Let's see, the best seats in the building. If you want to sit in the front row, row AAA, section floor 1, this is somebody reselling the tickets. So they bought the tickets up front, now they're trying to resell. So they're trying to hustle. So there's somebody trying to hustle for the Kamala tickets. They already bought the tickets. Now they're going to resell the tickets. They're reselling the tickets for $1,815 a piece. So if you want to sit in the front row to hear Kamala in LA on October 28th, 12 days from now, it'll cost you $3,630. You can buy tickets to see Kamala Harris in LA in 2 weeks. $3,630. Any of you want those tickets? You can sit also. There's another resale ticket for sale for $800 a piece. So somebody just got this crazy price. Then you got $800 a piece. You got another $800 a piece. You got $570, $540, $630. These are all resale tickets. In other words, somebody came in here and bought all the tickets, a whole bunch of tickets, and now they're reselling them for different prices. So there's a hot resale market for Kamala Harris tickets. Now, see, y'all didn't notice. So all you Kamala haters, they are reselling these tickets. $100. I'm not seeing anything cheaper than $100. I'm looking at all these different venues. I'm not seeing anything cheaper than $100. Any of you living in any of these towns, I can tell you how much these tickets are. So this one is, where is this? There's one in Seattle. She's doing an event in Seattle. We got anybody in Seattle want to go see Kamala? Then you have one, this button's not working. Then there's Medford, Massachusetts. Then there is Meridian Hall, which is, where is this? Toronto. She's going to speak in Toronto. I don't know why. Toronto can't vote. Nashville, Tennessee, and then Miami. Now, let's see Nashville. I know some Tennesseans in here. You want to hear Kamala Harris speak in Nashville? Again, the page, Simon & Schuster's page says these tickets are sold out. And then when you click on the button, it shows you a bunch of tickets. So I don't know why it says sold out. They need to take that off the page. Okay. So let's see. The price range for the tickets in Nashville. The price range. The cheapest ticket is $345 to see her in Nashville. The most expensive ticket to see Kamala in Nashville is $2,761. This is what it's telling me. So section 5, there are tickets available. You want to sit damn near in the front row. This ticket will cost you $1,757. Here's your view. So that's the stage right there. And this is the view from the seat. You'll be right there. This is in Nashville. You want to sit right there at the very damn near the front row. It'll cost you, again, I'll give you that price again, $1,757. That includes fees before taxes. And if you want that seat. If you need 2 seats, they're $1,255 a piece on the other side of that same row. So any of you want to get Kamala Harris tickets, they are more available than I thought. I thought they were all sold out. It said all sold out, but I guess people started reselling them, so now they're available again. But that's what it is. Nathan Don said, I'd rather have $400 of a good scotch. Is that how much they cost? $400? Jake Lancaster said, a waste of money. Or maybe you go look at it as a tax write-off. It's like a political donation. Karina said the ghetto. Yes, that's how much the tickets are. Jay Rocker said, I noticed that Optimize Live to incorporate restroom break and ending on time. Yes. Christy said, no, thank you. Who can even afford that right now? Democrats, Kamala Harris supporters. But I don't think it's about them affording it, Christy. I think it's about them not being able to not afford it. You can't not afford to go and see Kamala Harris speak if you're a Democrat supporter. My Micah said maybe it's common in haters reselling them. I don't know. These tickets are available. You see it's on there. Go to Kamala's X profile. There's a link that takes you right to that page. Marcus said the scalpers are going to eat those tickets. Yeah, we'll see. Steven said, like I said, George Soros bought them. Now he's got people out scalping them. We'll see. Stephen A. Jake Lancaster said, Stephen A. is great at calling out government hypocrisy on both sides, provides zero solutions. Well, Stephen A. again, he's not really saying anything. Anybody who pays attention to what's happening in politics, nothing Stephen A. says is profound or interesting. Now, if you don't pay attention at all and you listen to Stephen A., as I said, he sounds like he's smart, but he's not really saying anything. He calls out the Democrats and he calls out the Republicans. And again, if he's talking to the ESPN audience, you got to understand who Stephen A.'s audience is. It's people who know him from ESPN. Who's watching Stephen A. Smith debate on TV for 3 hours a day on ESPN? If it's 11:30 in the afternoon, how are you listening to Stephen A. Smith? Either because you don't have a job or you're doing a job that doesn't matter that much so you can listen to ESPN while you're working. And these are his fans. These people are often not as informed on social issues and politics and et cetera. They get their news from people like Stephen A. Smith. So to them, he sounds smart. Stephen A. Smith he's not very knowledgeable, not even on sports, let alone on politics. But again, he's articulate. So when someone's articulate, it feels like what they're saying is smart, even if they're not saying anything. So this is why communication skills matter so much. The reason Stephen A. Smith is as known as he is because he's a good speaker. He is not a good writer. He doesn't have any substance to what he says, but he is good at speaking. That's the reason why he's very well known. Speaking is a very valuable tool. Communication skills are future-proof, they're transferable, and they are very valuable. So that's the credit that I would give to Stephen A. Smith. As far as the substance of what he says, there's nothing new. So I do these live streams, folks, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. You want to get a free copy of my book called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. I'll give you a free copy of this book. Just go to thirddaybook.com. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. Thirddaybook.com. The book is free. Just cover the shipping. Thirddaybook.com. This book is all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. That's where you get that. Shelby said, I know from General Hospital. Yeah. William Grove said, I always enjoy your live. You actually read the comments. So thank you. I like reading the comments. I've always responded to comments ever since back in the days online. You want to be in my texting group? Text me at 305-384-6894. I will see everybody here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern. I'll do these lives Monday through Friday. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. We usually go to about 10 o'clock. Sometimes we cut it off sooner. Sometimes I go overtime if I talk a lot in the monologue portion. But we usually keep it tight, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So if y'all like this one, come back tomorrow. If you are new here, appreciate you. Welcome. If you have been around, I appreciate you for being here as usual and supporting. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you, everybody, for getting me to 100,000 plus likes. We did 128K so far here today. Make sure you text me to get in my text group. I do respond to my text messages. So if you want to actually engage with me, the best way to do it is not through DMs, but the best way is through texting. My number is in my bio if you're watching on TikTok. It's pinned in the comments if you're watching on other apps. 305-384-6894. And remember, thirddaybook.com, the decision that separates the pros from the amateurs. The book's free. Just cover the shipping. We'll ship you a physical copy of this book. My new Power Presence book should be coming in no later than tomorrow, according to tracking information. I will see you all tomorrow morning. Everybody have a great Thursday. Work on your game. Number for text, 305-384-6894 is in my bio. If you're watching on TikTok, as soon as I end this, just go to my profile. You'll see the number, 305-384-6894. Everybody have a great Thursday. Work on your game. Be out of here.